Holryood has passed historic new legislation that will give foreign nationals and some prisoners the right to vote in Scottish elections. But MSPs voted down proposals from the Scottish Greens that would have seen asylum seekers permitted to take part in ballots. Constitution Secretary Mike Russell said while he had the greatest sympathy for the move, there were practical concerns about extending the franchise to asylum seekers. The passing of the Scottish Elections, Franchise and Representation Bill means that foreign nationals, including refugees, will be allowed to vote in both Holyrood and local council elections. In addition, prisoners serving a sentence of 12 months or less will also be permitted to take part. Mr. Russell hailed the historic legislation, which was approved by 92 votes to 27. To become law, it had needed a supermajority of at least 86 MSPs to vote for it, the first time this has happened at Holyrood. The extra numbers was required because the legislation changes the electoral franchise. Mr. Russell said voting needed to be extended to some prisoners in order for Scotland to comply with the European Court of Human Rights. And while he accepted it was an emotive issue, he said the changes were driven by a compelling need to meet human rights obligations. In contrast, he said extending the vote to foreign nationals is driven by the reality and the aspiration of modern Scottish society. Mr. Russell told MSPs, EU and Commonwealth citizens already have the franchise. We must also recognise the enormous contribution brought to our country from people from all over the world. That is why we are extending the right to vote in devolved elections to all foreign nationals resident in Scotland who have leave to remain. He described this as being a major step forward. Green MSP Mark Ruskell had tried to amend the legislation so that asylum seekers whose case was still being considered could be given the vote, pointing out they could be in limbo for several years waiting for a decision. He said, "The right to vote is seen by asylum seekers as a fundamental human right. For many it is seen as being even as important as the right to work. It is an acknowledgement of their very existence, it is an acknowledgement that they have a voice, and that they are valued. And they see the right to vote as a powerful invitation to integrate with the community as well. It is a recognition they are not alien, they are not others, they are part of our communities." However, MSPs voted by 32 to 87 against the Green amendments after Mr. Russell said electoral registration officers had practical concerns about how to accurately maintain records of eligible asylum seekers. Meanwhile, Conservative MSP Jamie Halcrow-Johnston said, "There can be little hiding from the fact that for more on this story, visit the news article link."